become a god.
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Well, this is the final segment in this series, and we're going to talk about cloning, and we're going to talk about transhumanism, because it's all one and the same as far as this conversation is going to go, this presentation. So to basically tell you how I got here, and believe it or not, my research into Sandy Hook led me all through everything that I've presented so far, and of course the TV show 0 Hour. So what we're going to do is without any further delay, we're going to look at our first piece here, and it's going to take us to a 1982 movie starring Harrison Ford, and that's where we're going to start off at.
Do you like our owl?
Artificial?
Of course it is.
Designed to provoke an emotional response. Shall we continue?
Get it. What do they risk coming back to Earth for?
Optimum self-sufficiency. Probably the leader. This is Zora. She's trained for an off-world kick murder squad. Trained for an off-world kick murder squad. Talk about Beauty and the Beast. She's both.
I'm sure you all know by now that's the movie Blade Runner, and as you can see right here, more human than human. Tyrell Corporation, genetic replicants, the creator of Nexus 6, Nexus 7. Everything that you saw right there, we're going to cover. The unicorn, of course, you already know the owl symbolism. Did you notice the two Oriental women on the billboard eating a spider, just like you did in the movie 12 Monkeys, where Bruce Willis returned back to the past to trying to find the originator of the virus? And he also was eating a spider, sort of like a factional war of some sort, like a message to the spiders, if you will. We'll get into the unicorn in a little bit here, but there's something that you needed to see about the dates, about the creation of that Nexus 6, a couple of those, Zahora and Batty, was 2016. Is it coincidence that what we're seeing with transhumanism and everything, is that just coincidence that those dates line up with what we're seeing go before us right now? Is something coming in 2016 and they were trying to tell us then? Don't know yet. We will find out. But also there's something else that you probably missed when he mentioned about Zahora and Beauty and the Beast. She is both human and non-human, transhuman. Is that the mark of the beast in the book of Revelations? That is the question. First off, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the name Tyrell for Tyrell Corporation. And remember, we were covering in the very first video of this series about the power of God in man's hands. And that's the whole thing about Blade Runner. What's the name of the corporation? Tyrell. Where does the word Tyrell come from? It is derived of the Scandinavian god of battle, Tyr, Tuesday. was named after Tyre. And as you can see here, Old Norse, Tyre literally means God, plural. Tivar, gods, comes from Proto-Germanic tiwaz, which continues Proto-Indo-European, celestial being God. So as you can see here, the replicant part, as you saw, that's what they were called in the movie Blade Runner. They were called the Nexus 6, biorobotic android. Now, if you didn't think that the Samsung Nexus Android isn't trying to tell you something, wait until I show you about the unicorn, and you will be very intrigued by that. As a matter of fact, White Zombie, in his song Astro Creep 2000, as you can see here in some of his words, and this was back from a 1995 song, I do believe it was 1995 or 96, and he goes on to state in the lyrics, yeah, I am the Ripper Man, a locomotion mind, love American style, yeah, I am the Nexus 1. I want more life, fucker, I ain't done. More human than human. So as you can see, this has been a progressive thing where they've been known what's going on, and of course we just haven't noticed it. We didn't know what was coming or where we're going to be here. But there's what's interesting about this word nexus is you can find it mentioned in many other different plot lines rather than just Blade Runner or in a song. There's from the Rosie Crucifixion trilogy, Star Trek Generations. In the comics, of course, we've already covered extensively about the Illuminati displaying stuff for us in comic books. It's just we haven't had the eyes open to see it. Of course, Blade Runner, okay, and some of these other ones right here. Now we could get into the unicorn here. What is interesting about the unicorn is that it not only is found on the Rothschilds' coat of arms, but you can also find it on the Great Britain's coat of arms. Now I was beginning to wonder if maybe this gold, the gilded lion, we saw that in the Super Bowl, did it have anything to do with a lion, or just from Revelation's the roar of the lion? Unsure of that yet, but we're going to be focusing here on the unicorn. Now, we saw a lot of stuff last year with the Super Bowl, with the Maserati and the Trident. We also saw it with the Man of Steel, and we've been talking about Poseidon and the coming of the dawn of the Golden Age, the Age of Aquarius. So what we're going to do is look to how does this relate to the unicorn. As you can see right here, this is the two water flowing, and this in the Sumerian cylinder seals is none other than the god Enki. And in the Akkadian, this is the god Ea. And as you can see right here, that this creature right here does resemble a unicorn. What you see right here in this image is a tapestry from that is in the possession Rockefeller, David Rockefeller, and we're going to hear from David Rockefeller now himself.
As a result of fathers and mothers' interest in medieval art and architecture, when they heard from a dealer in France whom they'd known and through whom they'd bought a certain number of things, of the availability of a remarkable set of Gothic tapestries called the Unicorn Tapestries. I think this was back in the 20s. They were delighted to be able to buy them. This was certainly one of the most wonderful acquisitions that my parents were ever able to acquire.
The effect was so sumptuous that, having known in advance all about them, I merely lingered 5 minutes to satisfy my eye with the beauty and richness of their color and design, and bought them forthwith.
The Unicorn Tapestries, all during my youth, were in 2 rooms in that house, number 12 West 54th Street. And I really enjoyed them from my very early days and used to go there with visitors and sometimes take visitors to see them. I remember once when my sister was married and the marriage took place in our house, Governor Al Smith came to the wedding, and after the wedding I was assigned at the age of about 8 years old, as I remember it, to take him on a tour of the unicorn tapestries. He sent me an autographed photograph of himself, which I still have, saying, "To my pal Dave from Al Smith." One reason I suppose I liked the tapestries so much was that they're so rich in detail. I remember little rabbits peeking out behind vegetation and all of the animals around the fountain, and the hunters coming up with spears and this kind of thing. Those were all very vivid images for a child. The tapestries were really among the things that my parents had that I most enjoyed. While my parents rarely talked about the symbolism in the tapestries, they did tell me the story of the hunt of the unicorn. The unicorn, they explained, is the symbol of Christ, and the resurrection is represented in the last tapestries, where the unicorn has revived after having been killed by hunters.
Here sits the unicorn, in captivity, in repose. Forgotten now the blows when the huntsmen rose, with their spears dread sounds of the baying hounds, with their cry for blood. Then the answering flood in his veins for strife, of his rage for life. Forgotten the strife. Now the need to kill has died like fire, and the need to love has replaced desire. Forgotten now the pain of the wounds, the fence, the chain, where he sits so still, where he waits thy will. Here sits the unicorn, in captivity, yet free.
Weird thing is there is a similar scene belonging to the Rothschilds, and the symbolism, I'm sure, is not lost on you. I do believe this is Mary, and what David Rockefeller said about him being Jesus Christ. And this right here, you can see he is speared right here, sort of like the scene in the New Testament. Also, interestingly enough, in all of the Sumerian tablets, the only deity that is pictured standing above this unicorn is in fact the god Ea, Enki, and we already covered that about the biblical deity, so we're not going to get into that, but I just wanted to point that out to you. So I am left wondering, is it possible that he may have genetically or scientifically impregnated somebody, Mary, in the New Testament, and that's where a lot of this Merovingian bloodline comes in. I know There are people who argue that Mary and Jesus Christ weren't married. According to the Book of Mary, it does state differently, but let's take a look at another angle here, an angle of myth, the mythological Quinotaur, and we'll take a look at that now. I use this one here for the ease of presentation, because they say it quickly and without me having to go through a bunch of information to share it with you. The Quinotaur is a creature with origins in French mythology, legend, and folklore, in particular Frankish mythology. Among the only records of its existence discuss the Quinotaur attacking the wife of the Frankish king Claudio. While the two visited a beach from the union, the creature sired Merowic, founder of the Merovingian dynasty, by phrase commonly used to refer it to the beast Neptuni, Quinotauri similis, or beast of Neptune, which resembles a Quinotaur. It is speculated that the first was a divine son and or emissary of the Roman god Neptune. In this mythology, as I stated up here earlier, that the Quinotaur is a son and or divine emissary of the Roman god Neptune. According to the Sumerian tablets, Sumerian astronomy knew of the existence of the planets Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Ea was the name the Sumerians gave to the planet Neptune. Just like in the stories that they shared with you in the previous few videos, the Ea was, of course, the god of the waters or the seas. King Neptune, the Lord of the Sea, is another name for Fisher King. King Neptune was, like his counterpart Enki, lord of not only Earth's physical seas, but also the cosmic sea of etheric life force that surrounds, and so on and so forth. So I've already showed you that Lucifer, or who we've been told is Satan, has been depicted, of course, as long as I've ever known, he's been depicted with a trident. Similarly with Neptune, Poseidon, the same. Are they in fact one and the same? It so happens that Enki is, like I said, the Lord of the Waters. So is Poseidon Neptune. We saw in the sign of the video game where the Helios won, and Poseidon, and the dawn of the dawn of the golden age is upon us. So I'm sure it's pretty simple to see what they are trying to tell us. So as I stated earlier, getting back into the unicorn aspect of this, I told you that if you thought that the Samsung Nexus Android had nothing to do with what they were trying to tell you in Blade Runner or what is to come, then perhaps what you just saw with David Rockefeller talking about the tapestries of the unicorn being Jesus Christ, or being the Christ, and of course the Merovingian bloodline, and perhaps even bringing about the Antichrist through that bloodline, because they're making that claim, and that's where the Antichrist is going to come from, because it's false doctrine. It is a possibility. But let us take a look at the Samsung commercial that's going to tell you about the unicorn apocalypse. Remember, we were looking at the TV show from the very first video that I created about the apocalypse, about the power of God being in their hand, and about cloning. We're going to start getting into the cloning and transhumanism aspect right after we view these commercials right here.
Unicorn Apocalypse promises to be the biggest mobile game we've ever launched.
Yes! We'd also like to announce a new smartphone policy. To make things simple, you can now use any phone you want at work.
So you finally gonna retire that thing?
That's cute. You're not even working, you're watching basketball.
Actually, I'm closing deals with clients and watching the game. Modern business, my friend.
This is business.
What, the jacket?
Do you have the partner Snow 2s ready?
Yep, here you go, all set up.
All right. Are you sure these are secure enough?
These have on-device AES 256-bit encryption, plus support for VPN and MDM.
Now we need to decide, did the unicorn start the apocalypse, or are they trying to prevent it?
What about you? Are you going to consolidate your phones?
Oh, no. I have a system.
This one is for work, this one is for home.
Right, but with the GS3 you
Allie, respect my system.
Yeah, I wanted it to look like a real unicorn.
The way they look in real life.
Okay, but real life unicorns have rainbow blood. Got that new game trailer?
Yeah.
Hold still.
Hey, what about, like, glitter for the mane?
Really like how the horn is decayed but still lethal? Oh, by the way, guys, we're launching in 4 weeks.
What?
4 weeks, people.
No one's gonna sleep this month.
I know a guy who can get us those Swedish energy drinks.
The ones from Sweden?
Oleg, it's Dave. It's go time.
Oh boy.
The next big thing for business is here. The Galaxy S3 and Note 2 with safe technology.
Finish, I want to celebrate.
I can't. These are for a meeting the guys are having with the director.
Wait, they're making Unicorn Apocalypse into a movie?
Yeah, right. Like someone's gonna want to make a movie about zombie unicorns.
That's Tim Burton.
Mr. Burton.
Oh, hey, Jared.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I don't think we can afford him.
Tim, I gotta say, we're really excited that you like our game.
This is all the kind of stuff I love, you know, zombies, unicorns, the apocalypse. Did you guys know that unicorns are basically goats?
What are you doing?
Just tweaking my buddy cop script. I'm gonna slip it to Tim.
Tyler, you and Tim Burton have the same haircut.
You think?
And the movie's called...
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. What do you guys think they're talking about in there?
Probably the role of the protagonist in a traditional hero's journey.
Zombie unicorns on one side, what's left of humanity on the other. Unicorns attack, start killing everybody. You know, humans fight back, spilling unicorn blood, which is like rainbow colored with little weird sparkles in it.
People run out of provisions, they have to eat each other to survive.
And eyes are bulging out of their heads.
Yeah, planets are smashing into each other's bones.
They just rock.
Guys, this is getting a little too weird for me.
Get more done.
Yeah, very interesting. It sounds like they covered the Antichrist with the unicorn and the zombie apocalypse, and calling it the unicorn apocalypse, and also mentioning the zombie apocalypse also in there. Very, very interesting commercial. As you can see, they made a funny there towards the end. So like I'm saying, they create a fictional commercial adding truth in there. They do that with comic books, movies, etc. So, but we've been saying that all along, right? So from the movie Blade Runner, you get that the Owls, or the Owl Secret Society, is going to be behind the big push of transhumanism, or the Nexus, as they call it. But here's the interesting thing. You know and I know that there's no way that these elitists, the powers that be, are going to let humans in on them being on equal footing with them and they're seeking to be gods or whatever they're going to do. So what is it that they're really trying to accomplish by this push for transhumanism? Is it to be exactly like in the movie Blade Runner, where you're going to be basically slaves to the system? That's what it would appear to be. And we're already slaves, and they're making money off the slavery, but it's just like there's no more money to be made. The time has come now for them for the big push, cloning, transhumanism. So let us now take a look at some of the parts about transhumanism, and how when we saw the 0 Hour TV show from video 1 in this presentation about the power of the gods being in the hands of the human man.
To become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God.
We are shifting to a transhuman base. We've come out of a humanist time, and now we're redefining what it is to be human.
Whether we like it or not, we're becoming cyborgs. We're becoming transhumans.
We have the opportunity now to try to do things better than nature has done.
Why not have a stronger arm than we have? Why not be able to run faster? Why not be able to have tougher skins?
If you're going to replace your eye for vision, why limit it to visual. Why not give it the kind of vision a bat has? Give it ultrasound.
Could you imagine a Versace body design? Can you imagine a Terry Mugler body design? These individuals, the late Versace was an incredible designer. What if he was a transhuman? What if he was an artist who really wanted to combine art and science? I bet his designs for a future body would be astounding.
We really, really do want to violate human limits now, and we're getting closer and closer to the ability to do it. It's what we want.
And here we are in the Brain Research Laboratory. Yeah, here's the brain when it was stored.
Dr. Robert White is a neurosurgeon at the Cleveland Medical Hospital in Ohio.
Now here are some pictures.
In 1963, he performed the first experiment to keep a brain alive outside the body.
This is the human skull here. That's not real. This is a gorilla. See here, when you take the brain out and isolate it, you can take all that if you want, and you keep it alive and live forever. See, this is a human brain actually, and it is fixed, so no one needs to worry about it being alive. There have been many attempts throughout the world, particularly in the old Soviet Union, to take the brain out of an animal, they like the dog, for example, and keep it alive with machinery. Now you can do that with the heart, the kidney, the liver, the lung, all the other body organs, solid organs. But nobody had ever been able to do it with the brain. And part of the reason is we must remember the brain is very delicate when it comes to its blood supply. And so when we finally did it and found that this brain of a highly developed animal had brain waves, had biochemistry, was functioning just as it would. Now we couldn't talk to it, we could send it electrical signals, we could show that it could actually hear and so forth, but we didn't know whether it was processing the information. But the point of it all is that that moment in time also said to us, if you can do it for the animal brain, you could do it for the human brain.
To prove that the brain was in fact functioning normally while in this state, Dr. White needed to undertake a second experiment, during which he succeeded in transplanting the head of a monkey onto the body of another. The creature survived for 7 days before the body rejected the head.
In the monkey experiments, these animals are as much a monkey as they were when they were in their own original body. So I would presume, and I'd go beyond that, I would be assured that the monkey personality is retained. So consciousness can be transplanted.
So you heard him say right there, and he pretty much tried to show you that the consciousness can be transplanted, or the human brain, or and that has been one of the things, especially with the TV show that we're watching, 0 Hour, talking about the consciousness and the soul of a clone. And they mentioned that the clone does have a soul. Very interesting. But now I want to take you to a 1998 TV show called First Wave, and it has the pyramid with the all-seeing eye symbolism in the TV show, and they show you about transplantation of the consciousness. Let's take a look at that.
The ruby red eye.
The orb they stole holds the consciousness of Joshua. These fools have one of our most powerful leaders in their hands, and they don't even know it. It was a mistake for you to get Joshua.
I would have succeeded if that man hadn't interrupted.
Well, you did not succeed. So now we've had to prepare a new human husk to replace the arm that you lost.
Effect the transfer.
Now, what started me on this was the video I did about Noah rhymes with Losner, and he was holding the book of the Clone Wars, Anakin to the Rescue, from Clone Wars. And what I started doing is started going from there. So what I want to show you is the cartoon Clone Wars, and take a look at some of the symbolism. Just from the very first few seconds, you can tell that there is a Neptune, Poseidon symbolism in the trailer, and that's where we're going to go from there.
We are brothers, the true lords of the Sith. I serve no one.
We are the Death Watch. Strong, feared, descendants of the true warrior faith all Mandalorians once knew.
So you noticed the trident on the helmet and the other creatures there with the horns on their heads, as if it resembled the Quinatar. We've already covered about where Tartarus is, and Tartarus holds the ones that were left behind, the cast down, the possibly even Ia and other individuals there at Tartarus. Now, if you watch the movie Wrath of the Titans, there's a scene in there where they go through the tunnel leading to Tartarus with the help of Hephaestus the god, the creator of the weapons of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. When Perseus sees his son there, and his son says that it's really cold there in Tartarus, which leads me to believe that they're giving you a clue that Tartarus is in the Antarctic. And I also stated in the previous video about the Nazi Germany heading to the Antarctic to search out for something. Did they find the fabled Tartarus? Well, what's interesting in the Clone Wars here, as you can see, they mention Black Sun. And that's what leads me to believe that the Nazi Germany Black Sun preparing for the arrival of an alien race. That's what the Black Sun Project was all about. I'll show you here again in case you don't remember. So what are they trying to tell us here? Are they trying to tell us that there will be an alien race that will be appearing to man sometime soon? What does the transhumanism have to do with all of this? Is the transhumanism the creation of a more human than human, a superhuman, going to be created to do battle with this coming alien race? Or is it that the return of Nibiru and the Titans, Ia and others, have vowed vengeance against the Olympic gods, if you will, and they are going to be using these secret societies to create a superhuman, a transhuman, to work with them to do battle against the individuals coming back with the planet Nibiru. It's all speculation. I don't know. But I do find it very, very strange that they pretty much left it where we have no say. If we don't accept the mark of the beast, I already told you, I think the mark of the beast is the transhumanism. Now, if you look at the movie The Machine, and you notice that there are not just the machine, but the ones who had the RFID chips implanted them, when it was necessary, they cut off a kill switch, and it killed off those individuals that were like transhumans. And the machine says to the main character guy, the doctor, she says that they are part of the new world and he is part of the old. So is transhumanism going to be the new world order? And what exactly does that leave us? So who is the private sector regarding all of this research for the transhumanism cloning and everything? That's what we're going to take a look at now. So you saw from Blade Runner who was behind the movie. Who did they show us? The Owls. Tyrell Corporation, the Owl. they are going to be playing the role as God. We saw also that these Illuminati who were involved in Sandy Hook, they showed us the owl there. We saw some other evidence that possibly there was another faction that infiltrated this event and tried to show us what is actually going on. And as you can see here, as I've already showed, that H.P. Lovecraft, one of the character roles in the Illuminati card game, was morphed with a Lanza to create the Adam Lanza persona. As you can see here, the mouth, right here, that little crease right here in the lip is right there, and you can see it exactly the same. Even the nose right here, they've tried to morph it in there with whoever. Now, the other part about this is this. And why would they, if this was all fake, why would they choose the Lanza name? Why would they pick the name Lanza if this was all fake? And that's what's interesting about all this, is that this guy right here looks like he could be a very, very close relative of one of these Lanzas, but we never heard anything about it. And this guy is major seen into the cloning business. And that's what leads me to believe that this was all a big infiltration into this event to show us what is going on. What does Robert Lanza, the cloning person, have to do with this, with everything that we've just discussed about cloning, transhumanism, and Connecticut, for that matter? What does he have to do with Connecticut? Is this guy the go-to guy as far as cloning and bringing about the transhumanism? That's what we want to see. One of the facts that was pointed out by this author of Gods of the New Millennium, the primary factor behind the alleged immortality of the gods was almost certainly a genetic inheritance, as evidenced by the male gods' obsession with marrying their half-sisters. You know, keeping the bloodline clean, the royal blood, if you will. Sort of like, you know, royalty in Europe. Such a genetic longevity is indeed being sought in the laboratory today. Scientists at the Garin Corporation, and I wanted to highlight that Garin Corporation because we're going to see here. Garin Corporation actually stopped doing their research on that very fact of what they were doing, and Dr. Robert Lanza, the chief scientific officer of Advanced Cell Technology, said Garin's move was very unfortunate for the field and puts the pressure on us now. Dr. Robert Lanza is working on some very, very interesting stuff when it comes to cloning, which he calls the holy grail, to be able to take a few cells from a patient and turn them into stem cells in the laboratory, said Robert Lanza, an embryonic stem cell researcher and head of scientific development at Advanced Cell Technologies. But I want to show you some of the other weird things that he's working on. Virgin birth in human females, just like, you know, the Virgin Mary. Parthenogenetic reproduction. That's what he is working on. Among human females, yet maintain unnoticed. Indeed, such a woman could have a husband and be totally unaware of her own condition. She would have only daughters, each of which would carry only her genes, which would almost certainly increase in the gene pool, at least over the short term. So basically, they are working on anti-aging also. The cloning process also appears to reset the aging clock in clone cells so that the cells appear younger in some ways than the cells from which they were cloned. In 2000, we reported that telomeres, the caps at the ends of the chromosomes from cloned calves, are just as long as those from control calves. Telomeres normally shorten or are damaged as an organism ages. Therapeutic cloning may provide young cells for an aging population. Now, here's the thing about the TV show 0 Hour to explain to you about the eye situation. When he cloned the two individuals, one of them had normal eyes and the other one didn't. Let me show you. like I said before, you already can see where we're going with the transhumanism thing, and they're not doing all of this for our benefit. And as you can see right here, they go on to make it appear like it's for our benefit. But one of the problems with cloning, because the eyes are not somehow separate from the immune system of some sort like that the eyes during cloning in some instances can have a macular degeneration issue. But that can be fixed with stem cells being injected into the eyes, as you saw in the show 0 Hour. So that's one of the things he's working on to cure, is the macular degeneration aspect of cloning, where it can affect the eyes from the cloning process. And he happens to be working on one of those things. So we already showed earlier about the conscious upload, or mind uploading. And here in the Immortality of Wikipedia, certain scientists, futurists, and philosophers have theorized about the immortality of the human body. You remember Robert Lanza came out with a book called Biocentrism. Read what he talks about in the Biocentrism, and about how there is no end. And we're talking about immortality here. There's no end for man, and it's not going to be us. It's not going to be for us. I'm sure that you all can't think that these powers that be, who are investing all of this money into this technology, are going to want to use it on us and to put us on an equal footing as them. And it's just not the case. The absence of aging would provide humans with biological immortality, but not invulnerability to death by physical trauma, although mind uploading could solve that issue, and we did look at that already. What I find interesting in this document here about R.P. Lanza, Robert Lanza, his patents have to do with World Organization patents, where these were not able to be patented in the United States. And a lot of these patents, you just have to look. I'm going to leave you the link to get this this PDF. But a lot of these patents have to do with Israel and China. Very, very frickin' interesting that as you can see here, WO patent. All of these right here. And let's see what else here. So I've already showed you the Blade Runner. You can see who's all behind this transhumanism, or the nexus between human to the more than human. The Tyrell Corporation in the movie. The owls. Where have we looked earlier and we saw a huge secret society of owls in the state of Connecticut? Of course, Connecticut. And so it's all starting to come together now. The secret society of whoever these owls are, the Illuminati, they're the ones behind this transhumanism push. But how does Connecticut fit into all of this? Well, remember I told you Robert Lanza has a lot of patents, and there was a lot of them listed right there. I only showed you 2, but there's a lot of them that have to do with Israel. I showed you who was behind the wizard curtain. Yes, the Zionist Jews. They're behind the wizard curtain, and they're part of all of this whole Illuminati push out of Connecticut with the Zionist Jews. And this Daniel Malloy, who happens to, I showed you pictures of him being with the Chabad Lubavitch. And you can see right here, the governor, Daniel Malloy, said biotechnology and aerospace opportunities are at the top of his agenda, everybody. The top of his agenda. But with who? Governor Daniel Malloy projects that Connecticut will soon double its current $983 million in exports to China as a result of his trip there this week. It is going to double, Malloy told reporters on a conference call from a major port city of Tianjin on Wednesday. It's probably going to triple. The question is when that is going to happen. The prediction comes amid Malloy's 8-day trip to China, a mission that is focused on increasing exports, attracting foreign direct investment in Connecticut. Ooh, what investment, I wonder? Yes, biotechnology. Is this the state where transhumanism, or even Massachusetts with Mr. Robert Lanza, and that where it's all going to come from, with the help of the state of Connecticut? Could be. And he, as he stated right here, biotechnology is at the top of his agenda. The shift of manufacturing to China is dying out, and they realize that. Government officials talk about investments in foreign countries and to spread investment. To borrow a word from Connecticut, it is revolutionary for China to be thinking of investing in foreign countries. I've been asked to prepare a list of public and private transactions that might be of interest, Malloy said. Until Malloy's trip this week, no Connecticut governor had traveled to China since 1987. Connecticut's finally raising its flag in China after 25-year absence. Within 2 months of Malloy's visit to China, at least 6 other U.S. governors will conduct major trade missions in the country. But what was funny here is what he said. When asked how much Chinese officials and business leaders know about Connecticut, Malloy said, they know Yale. Yeah, of course they do. Every building's got a fucking owl on the damn building. The whole damn state is littered with secret society owl bullshit. And now you know for yourself exactly how Connecticut plays into all this. Why Connecticut was picked for this event. Why someone may have infiltrated this event to show us what is really going on. Do you really think that Robbie Parker would have got up there in front of the camera knowing the camera was on and would have hyperventilated himself to act as if he was in some kind of emotional state from losing his daughter when he really wasn't? Something tells me that someone intentionally did this to undermine their event. They're showing us about the cloning. They're showing us about what is really going on with the Illuminati and the Zionist Jews. Just the Zionists. I don't even think they're really Jews anyway. But, well, that's about it, folks. I hope that this was informative to you all. Not exhaustive as it could have been. I'm getting really burnt out on the whole video making and research. As you can see, I've been doing a lot, and I may just be cutting back for a while. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it in the next couple days. All right, everybody. Thanks.